It's been a month since the shocking assassination of Charlie Kirk, and somehow, Rachel Zegler has managed to turn even that tragedy into a political monologue. Yeah, that Rachel Zegler, the same actress whose press tour for Disney's live-action Snow White felt more like a campaign rally than a fairy tale comeback. Now she's back in the headlines again, and this time, she's using Kirk's death as a springboard to go off on Trump, tariffs, American voters, and just about everything else under the sun. At this point, no one's sure if she's trying to win an Oscar or just start another Twitter war. But one thing's clear, people aren't buying it anymore. Let's be honest, Rachel hasn't exactly been a Hollywood favorite lately. Studios are avoiding her like she's radioactive. She's gone from walking red carpets to starring in barely seen indie projects, the kind that premiere in 5 theaters, 2 of which are in Idaho. And yet here she is again, stepping up to a microphone to accuse President Trump of using Charlie Kirk's death to push tariffs and silence artists like her. That's quite a stretch, especially from someone whose last blockbuster turned into a certified box office flop. But Rachel didn't stop there. She dragged the whole conversation far and wide, touching on Gaza, Palestine, Biden, Harris, comedians, actors, tariffs, Hollywood outsourcing, even the literacy levels of American citizens. At one point, she literally said Americans can't pick up a book. Really? You lose acting gigs and suddenly the public's the problem? It's not just tone deaf, it's delusional. Then came the part that made everyone's jaw drop. She claimed the president was using Kirk's death as a distraction, a cover to impose 100% tariffs on foreign-made films, as if that policy was some personal vendetta against her career. Like Trump sat in the Oval Office thinking, you know what'll ruin Rachel Zegler's week? Movie tariffs. It's such a wild level of self-importance that, honestly, you almost have to respect the confidence. Almost. Here's the irony. Those same tariffs are meant to bring jobs back to the US jobs for American camera crews, editors, studios, the people who actually make movies possible. Not exactly the villain origin story Rachel's painting here. Yet, she's out here acting like Hollywood's collapsing just because Spider-Man might film in Atlanta instead of Prague. And it's not just her. Ariana Grande, Katy Perry, even Alec Baldwin have jumped in, all trying to turn this tragedy into a political talking point. They're not mourning Charlie Kirk. They're using his name as a platform. And that's rubbing a lot of people the wrong way. Because when someone dies, especially in such a public, violent way, maybe, just maybe, it's not the time to plug your politics or complain about your movie career. Maybe it's just a moment to show respect. But apparently, that message didn't make it to Hollywood. Rachel went even further, questioning whether America still deserves to call itself free. In her words, actors can't act, comedians can't joke, and the dictator running our country has turned free speech into a weapon. You'd think she was broadcasting from some underground bunker in a dystopian movie, but no. She said all this in a perfectly lit, professionally edited video, while sipping oat milk in Beverly Hills. And then came the headline that lit up social media. We were better off under Biden and Harris. That single line exploded online, not just for its politics, but for how she framed it. She claimed, this would never have happened under Biden and Harris. As if the assassination of a public figure can be blamed on one election cycle. As if tragedy itself chooses political sides. It wasn't a slip. It was deliberate. She doubled down, saying she doesn't support violence, but things felt safer back then. That's not just tone deaf, that's reckless, because it suggests to her followers that safety and violence depend on who you vote for. And for someone with her reach, that's a dangerous narrative. But Rachel didn't stop there. She went on to call Americans too lazy to learn, blaming citizens for not reading enough. It's the same recycled Hollywood elitism, wrapped up in a shiny coat of victimhood. She's not just angry at Trump, she's angry that people don't agree with her anymore, that audiences didn't back her version of Snow White, that when she lectures people from red carpets and talk shows, they just roll their eyes and move on. That's what this is really about. She lost the crowd, and now she's lashing out. The real irony? She keeps claiming she's being silenced, while she's trending on every platform with millions of followers and endless press coverage. If that's what silenced looks like, most people would love a taste of it. Because Rachel's version of being silenced isn't about censorship, it's about not getting applause. She expected cheers and got groans. And now somehow, that's everyone else's fault. Meanwhile, people behind the scenes, producers, directors, even co-stars, are quietly distancing themselves. Major studios have taken her off shortlists. Indie filmmakers, the ones usually willing to take a risk, are passing too. Even a rumored theater project dropped her before casting Wrapped. At this point, it's not politics, it's business. And bad press is bad business. But Rachel's final blow came when she went after the core of the America First policy. She said it wasn't patriotism or economics. It was all about fear and bigotry. That the tariffs and film restrictions weren't about saving American jobs. They were about controlling diversity. That's when even her supporters started going quiet. Because whether you love or hate the administration, calling job protection anti-diversity is a stretch so big, it snapped the rubber band. It came across like what it really was. A wealthy actress trying to make economic policy sound like a personal attack on her identity. And for a lot of people, that felt insulting. Not just to voters or taxpayers, but to the working class people behind the cameras, the grips, the editors, the sound techs, the ones whose livelihoods do depend on where a film gets made. And the saddest part? She didn't mention them once. Even while talking about something as serious as Charlie Kirk's assassination somehow, it always circled back to her outrage, her fear, her spotlight. And that's what's really keeping Rachel Zegler trending. Not her acting, not her movies, but her words.